When you're the player putting down hard-earned cash to buy a Magic card, that's what makes some of these cards worth keeping. Have you ever had that feeling? I know I do. Where you go and buy a new Magic card, and it feels like you're at a card dealership. You love it. You've chosen the model. You're going to pay the full sticker price. You're excited. But in the back of your head, you know it's going to lose massive value as soon as you drive it off the lot. Welcome back, everyone. mtgnews here. Thanks again for hanging out with me on my channel today for another card watch video. Cards we should be paying attention to. When you look at these cards and the fact we know they're getting reprinted, but players love them so much or need them for multiple decks that we keep going back, even when they give us a new design. It's just like a new paint job or a new car model coming out each and every year, like a new iPhone. There's a new model, and they don't just give it to us all at once. They give it to you in pieces to make you keep wanting to come back and try it again, even if it is internally the exact same engine. Same card, right? Different framework. You guys got the reference. All right. So today's video, guys, we're going to go over cards you should be paying attention to. Let's face it, when it comes to reserve list cards, picture those like vintage classic cars. They have a certain age to them that people realize, yeah, you can't make these cards anymore. These cars aren't coming around. So they're kind of going to appreciate and value for those who love them. But like any collectible, they can go to zero. But some of these cards are at such a decent price point, they're worth looking into if you've never looked before. For more modern cards, there are ones to pay attention to because based on when a card gets reprinted, can kind of almost tell you when the next reprint will come based on how much damage was done. How much damage was done to that beautiful card from the reprint. How much value did it lose because the newer model came out? Interesting stuff. So let's run through this. Let's get right to it. Let's have some fun, enjoy ourselves. Let's look at some amazing Magic cards that you should be watching. Our first card on today's list is coming to us from Tempest EarthCraft. Now, the average price, this card really hasn't dipped a lot, okay? Compared to where it's come from back in mid-2020 to now, it hasn't fallen in price like a lot of other cards have on the reserve list. When you take a look, I mean, look how cheap these kind of old school enchantment cards were and the damage they can do in decks. It's 1 green, 1 generic. Tap an untapped creature you control to untap a target basic land. It doesn't even say your land. It just says a target basic land. Think about how great this card is in so many different decks, and it makes you want to buy the card right off the bat. My problem is the price. It probably is for a lot of you out there as well. Like, why do I want to pay that much money, Mogsman, to get this card? Well, like any classic, they can't rebuild it. It's not coming around again. And you have to pay the freight sometimes, but that doesn't mean you should buy it now. This is a wait and see card. I haven't seen a lot of movement in the card in the overall financial side of Magic right now. It has its sales each and every week, nowhere near enough to make it today my Hot 10 videos, which means there's not a lot of volume sales for or against this card, which means the price has stayed very stable. The buyers and sellers are kind of meeting in the middle. Do I think this card could go on sale? If I was a player who just wanted a play copy, I would definitely be looking into getting a heavily played version just to own one. To say, hey, I've got the real deal. No proxy here, no fakeness. I got the real beans right here with me. That's what I would do, and you can probably get that for like 80 to 90 bucks, guys. You have to look around though, but it is out there. Now our next card today, Mystical Tutor. Man, this card has come from a very far away place. This is the Dominaria remastered version, a later printing of it, of course, but that makes it much more affordable for players. And because it's been printed so often, it's less than 10 bucks, and it is less likely to get printed right now. Remember, it is a 1 blue instant. Search your library for an instant or sorcery card, reveal it, and then shuffle your library and put that card on top. It is an amazing card to do at the end of somebody's turn before your draw phase. It is just one of those things that says, yes, use me, have me, make me yours. And the price has never been better. But the real question will be, do you want it just for play, or do you want to speculate on this card? A lot of people would think, hey, like, is it going to go up? Chances are the card is going to recover a bit. It will raise in price over the next 24 months, but not nearly to what people might be expecting. It's going to go up $1 or $2. It does have a lot of reprintings done now. The damage is kind of you know, this model's been made a lot. It's been around the block, and they're waiting to see if something new comes out. But for now, this is the reliable Toyota that you need it to be. Okay, it's going to hang in there, and it's not going to cost you a lot. And you may see a few gains in the resale value of the card later on. So it's definitely a card worth buying right now. Our next card, Urza, the Lord High Artificer. Who I hate saying that name, Artificer, every time. Dominaria Remastered version, because I'm showing you guys the cheapest version that is available. If I had the money, I always go for original reprint cards. Okay, so I'm going to go, I know it's a reprintable card, but I would want the Modern Horizons version because it's probably just as cheap, maybe a couple of bucks more, but it's the OG original. That's what gets me with cards like this. But again, because it came around in Dominaria Remastered, chances are this card is not getting reprinted anytime soon. As a 1/4, 2 blue, 2 generic, legendary human artificer. Remember, it's a human. Remember those decks? Remember Ikoria and stuff? Humans? When Urza, the Lord High Artificer, enters the battlefield, create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact with this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. You can tap an untapped artifact you control to add blue to your mana pool, shuffle your library, and then exile the top card. Until the end of your turn, you may play that card without paying its mana cost. He's a brutal card, just like Urza should be. A very powerful, very versatile card to use in Commander. Amazing card. And guess what? It's pretty cheap right now, and it's not going to get reprinted. This is a card you're going to own and not get rid of. There's no reason to. After you buy 1 to 4 copies. 4 if you're going to play, I guess, something more modern, but 1 if you just want to have a copy for a Commander deck. At this price point, even if it fell lower, you're not going to feel guilty about buying this model. You're going to be happy you have it, because if it doesn't get reprinted for a few years, the price will go up because there'll be a shortage, okay? There won't be enough to go around as people do complete play sets of cards like this. Great card. Our next card is Yogmathran Physician. Now, this is the Dominaria Remastered version. It's under 20 bucks, but let's take a closer look at the card. Number 1, it just got reprinted in Dominaria Remastered. They brought the price down again. It lost about 20%. The chance of it getting a reprint anytime soon is probably at least 24 months away. There's no reason to bring more out when you have stores sitting with shelves full of Dominaria Remastered inside the collector boxes as well as draft. It's available, which means they have no reason to reprint this card right now when there's already equity sitting out there in the aether. Now, when you take a look at the Yogmathran Physician, he's a 2/4, he's 2 black, 2 generic. Protection from humans, interesting, you know, human cleric, right? Pay 1 life, sacrifice another creature. Put a -1/-1 counter on up to 1 target creature and draw a card. 2 black, discard a card, and proliferate. This is a very powerful card. It is a great card for Commander as well as Modern. It's going to continue to see sales. So do you wait on a card like this? I wouldn't. Not for under 20 bucks. A card like this, I would say I'm willing to dive in, pay a few bones, get it to my collection, pay the shekels, pay the freight, and I'm just never going to sell it. I'm never going to get rid of it because it's a card that'll always have play. Not to mention, it's an iconic Magic history character from the very beginning of the Antiquity stories back in '93. These cards have history behind them. And when you meld that all together with a very decent playable card, there's no reason to get rid of it. Even if you weren't playing with it now, that doesn't mean you're not going to play with it 15 years from now. That's the funny thing about Magic, guys. Things come around, and although a card like this is going to get reprinted at some point, they will wait until the value reaches a certain level probably, or they'll make a newer, better version that outplays it, which means you can combo this with the newer version, or you can sit there on your back shelf, enjoy the card for years to come, knowing you've already paid for it and don't have to worry about buying another copy. When I see prices like this, it just says, yep, that's a buy me level, you know? Now let's take a look at our last card today. The last one I want to share with you is again a reserve list card. This is Treachery from Urza's Destiny. And this is a reserve list card from this block. This is like when Magic was in a funk and Wizards was trying to bring it back to life, put a shock to the system. And they made this insanely powerful block of cards and it brought Magic players flocking back to the game. So when you look at the card, you can see right now, it's been higher than 150 bucks. It is reserve list, don't forget. That foil is $525 US. And you can see the average price, though, is only 54 bucks for this card. When you take a closer look, this card is 2 blue, 3 other. When Treachery comes into play, untap 5 lands. So you're basically paying nothing. You control enchanted creatures. So it's kind of like a control magic. It costs one more, but you untap all your lands, so you get to go again. Now, again, it has to, I guess, successfully go off. You have to actually cast it and have it succeed to untap the lands. But what an interesting card to have out there, this affordable. This is less than Sheoldred, the Apocalypse right now. When I see cards like this vintage of card, at this deep of a discount, I feel like I'm at Barrett Jackson and I'm deciding on which version of the Bumblebee Camaro I want to buy because I can afford them all. That's where I feel right now. And this is where so many reserve list cards find themselves. I love it. Many players can just continue to ignore it, but they're there and they look beautiful. Amazing cards. So before we end the video, let me leave you with these thoughts. When you look at the Mystical Tutor, you can look at any of the tutors, Worldly Tutor, etc. Chances are they're not getting reprinted anytime soon because they just came around again. When you take a look at Urza and Yogmathran, their chances are those models are going to be left sitting there for a while. They can probably only appreciate in value depending on how many players buy the cards. So if you need that card, it's probably at a pretty good price point. When you're looking at the vintage classics, you're looking at the old reserve list cards, some of these cards are literally an absolute steal considering they won't be reprinted. And some of them definitely are drawing some attention very quietly and very hush-hush to a lot of players. And yes, for those who watch my videos this long, I am getting information now about what's been happening with dual lands. I'll probably save it for the Saturday reserve list edition of the Hot 10. We'll probably talk about it there. So when you guys are thinking about cards you want to engage in, decide how you want to digest Magic, which cards are valuable to you, but always keep an eye out for a good deal on cards you've thought about getting before because you can save yourself a lot of time and money getting them when you think they're at their lowest, when you think your stomach can afford paying for them. Especially even some of the cheaper cards are still 10 bucks a pop, right? It's not that cheap, really. I guess it's the price of McDonald's Happy Meal now. Crazy stuff. And of course, if you're buying any of these cards, this is that moment I get to shill for myself and say, don't forget to use my TCG affiliate link. It's found in the description of all my videos. You click the link, it takes you right to TCG Player, and anything you buy there, I get a 3.5% kickback for the channel, and I appreciate it. So guys, thanks a lot for hanging out. Looking forward to tomorrow's video. We're going to have a good time. Thanks for tuning in and allowing me to entertain you each and every day. It's awesome. See you guys soon. And of course, that big thank you and shout out goes out to the fantastic patrons of the channel. Thanks again, guys, for that continued support each and every day of the month. Patrons make this content possible. You guys rock. You know it's true. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Tell me if some of those cards aren't amazingly priced. Come on. I remember when Urza was like $75. What a price drop. It's a deal. I don't care. 20, 25 bucks, total steal. Thran Physician, same thing. Guys, the chance of some of these cards coming around, what the real question is, right? When people think they're getting value for a dollar, it's how long it sticks in there. And you guys wait till the end of the video, so I don't mind telling you this. The chance of Wizards bringing some of these cards back this quickly, no, they need the equity to recover. Like any stock, it's been battered and abused, whether it likes it or not, it has. Now you gotta let things sit. And they don't have a lot in the pond to go back to right now, so chances are, you might see some of the heavy hitters coming out. I mean, fetch lands coming back around, shock lands, to kind of throw things for a loop, I think, next year, when we see 2024 release lineup, because I think after Commander Masters, and I'll cover some stuff on this, it needs a little bit of breathing room. I think they know it. These prices are just too good, and those reserve list cards look so cheap right now that it makes them more attractive for people to dive in, which is what so many of these people on this channel are doing. That's what so many of us are doing right now. Oh, it's so good. Guys, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here. That was my ramble.